Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Faster my good evening, it's 5:30. This is Update for Wednesday, 22nd of November 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man, background to that news and sport and business and Sea-Watch and travel updates, and the newsmakers in person this evening. UK tax announcements won't affect us. Bigger issues for Castletown than Barclays. Unemployment's up by 30. The reform of the DOI continues, and training nurses here could help us, says the Minister.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Fastamai Chanel Suku.
Fastamai. The Isle of Man will increase duty rates for tobacco products from 6 p.m. this evening. It's to fall in line with the UK Chancellor's autumn statement, which he delivered today. Alcohol duty rates will be frozen until the 1st of August 2024. A radon expert says the levels of the radioactive gas found in 5 schools on the island are not a concern. 14 rooms were found to be affected, including 1 classroom, a staff room and a caretaker's office. And the release date for Manx actor Joe Locke's latest project appears to have been confirmed. It looks like it'll be here just in time for Hop to Nay. The ex-Ballacamine student is starring in Agatha Darkhold Diaries, a spin-off of Marvel television show WandaVision. In international news, the mother of Ashley Dale, who was shot in her home in Liverpool, says she'll never forgive her daughter's killers. 4 men will serve at least 40 years each for the 28-year-old's murder. Israel says it expects the first hostages to be freed by Hamas tomorrow under a deal that'll see the fighting stop for 4 days. The agreement will see the release of 50 people who've been held in Gaza since they were captured last month. And a 3-year-old's toy monkey has been returned to him after a 600-mile train journey. The cuddly animal was found in Edinburgh, a long way away from his usual home in Bristol. Those were your headlines. News at 6.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Goromaya, thank you, Chanel. From the Ronaldsway Met Office, there is a strong wind warning in operation for the North Irish Sea. State of sea currently moderate. Some delays on the boats will come to later. The weather this evening, cloudy with outbreaks of rain overnight and a strong westerly, minimum 9 Celsius. For Jardine, cloudy with a band of rain arriving early afternoon tomorrow on a strong westerly, up to 13 degrees. It will dry up from early evening as the wind veers northwesterly and down to 5 through the night. For Chehenya, dry, partially cloudy on Friday and a fresh northwest wind, top temperature 8. Tides on the way back in. High water's 7:15, low tide 11 minutes to 2 a.m. High water tomorrow morning is at 11 minutes to 8. The sun rises at 8 o'clock.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
Treasury Minister Alex Allenson MHK says they'll need to keep a close eye on the UK Chancellor's autumn statement, but Dr Allenson says the tax announcements won't have a direct impact here, but other changes could have a knock-on effect.
I don't think it is a concern for Isle of Man government. I mean, one of the unfortunate things is when the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the United Kingdom stands up, we don't know what he's going to say either. And we have tried in the past to get a prior view of his statement, and several members were talking about prior views of statements for ministers today as well, but we don't get that, so we'll be sitting around the TV set as well as anyone else. On the Isle of Man, our national insurance thresholds and rates are slightly different to the UK. The National Insurance Fund is very healthy compared, again, with the UK, but that's been built up over decades of people paying into it. And what we had earlier on in the year was a discussion of the government actuary report, which looked at the long-term future for the National Insurance Fund, and we do need to make some changes to secure ensure that both for pensioners now and in the future. There are some inherent risks with anything that the UK government do. It's more to do with the shared duties and VAT arrangements rather than taxation, because we do have our own independent way of dealing with taxation and national insurance. But we saw last year that by the actions of the UK government, it affected interest rates, and that directly affected people on this island. So I think we need to keep a very close eye on those decisions that are made in the UK and respond accordingly.
And MHK says the closure of Barclays Bank in Castletown is sad, but there are bigger issues facing the town. Albury Castle Town and Maloo member Tim Glover, MHK, says the south of the island only having one physical bank is a concern.
Well, it's, I think, been the worst kept secret in Castletown, to be quite honest, that Barclays was going to close. Certainly, as the MHKs for the area, Jason Morehouse and I have been talking with Barclays, also the commissioners, and I think the fact that an ATM and a cash machine was going to be put in the town hall with Barclays branded gave the indication of what was coming anyway. And we have seen the hours of the bank reduce as well over the years, because the customer base is very small, as we've established from Barclays.
So no physical bank based in Castletown now?
That is a concern. In fact, we've only one bank in the whole of the south of the island, and that's the Isle of Man Bank in Port Erin. So that is a concern. And I think also Barclays are committed to a transition and talking to their customers, the ones they have. And we really are talking teens of business and personal accounts that they have based at Castletown. It's that small, so clearly that, from a business point of view, isn't a tenable operation anymore. I think it's very sad that we don't have a bank now in Castletown, but I think more concern is the business closures that we've been seeing of late, and also the fact that we don't have a traders association in Castletown to speak with one voice, which is always more listened to than just individual traders, and that I'm sure would have been a more powerful voice maybe to the commissioners and to the MHKs indeed for the area in terms of bringing issues up, whether it be about the square and the closures and in the summer now being proposed for the winter, but also about Barclays Bank as well. So there's a lot of issues that I think all run into each other.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300.
Unemployment in the Isle of Man's increased by 30 people since September, but has decreased by 4 people compared year on year, according to the latest labour market report published by the Cabinet Office. More details from Siobhan Fletcher.
The unemployment rate, or the proportion of economically active population registered unemployed, for October was 0.6%, remaining the same as the previous month. 681 job vacancies remained at the job centre in October 2023, which is a decrease of 52 vacancies compared to the previous month. Of these, 64%, or 434, were full-time positions, and 36%, or 247, were part-time. It's estimated that 731 individuals were unemployed and looking for work in October 2023, compared with 701 in September 2023. This amounts to an unemployment rate of 1.6%. The sector with the highest number of job vacancies remaining was medical and health services, with 130 vacancies to fill.
The Infrastructure Minister has given an update on efforts to reform his department. It includes responsibility for the Coast Guard and port security potentially moving to Department of Home Affairs, and consideration of the minibus services currently provided by Bus Vannin. Here's the Infrastructure Minister Tim Crookall, MHK.
The department is huge at the moment, and we just need to sort of have a look at it, see what it needs to be doing and what it doesn't need to be doing, and then try and make some changes. It's certainly not about the political workload, but it's about delivering a better delivery service, and certainly with the minibus services that we give to Desk and to Manx Care at the moment, it's been tried over the years, and it's actually been proved now that actually, they keep telling us what they want. We try and deliver it, but they know exactly what they want, so it should go back to them, and they can deliver it as well. Then, we'll give them the minibuses back and things, and they can deliver their own service. It's been tried. It hasn't worked as well as it could have done. It's been good. Nobody says it's been bad, but it could be a lot better, and it's time to give it back to them as far as we're concerned, if we can make it work. But obviously when it came, there was a budget with it, as I said in my statement, and that budget has now gone up probably threefold in some respects, which comes out of the DOI budget, and we'll have to look at how we work that out. But if we're going to make it happen, we'll just have to say, okay, we'll cut our losses here, have it back, and then we'll work away from that then. Obviously the roads belong to us, and it's better off, and I actually think that may well be that some of the local authorities want to do the roadworks, some of them don't, and it's actually a mess. And when it comes to down, who's responsible for that? Is it local authorities? Is it a highway board? So I think we need to sort of look that out and just look at that and just say, okay, either we take it back or everybody does their own little bit, and I don't think they will do. So it could well be that we end up taking them back. But those discussions, everything's up for discussion at the moment, and I'm going to the municipal meeting at the end of the month, and we'll start those discussions. But we will go around and talk to the local authorities as soon as possible.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Motor vessel Manxman left Heysham at 25 to 3. She's due into the bay in the next 10-15 minutes or so, and onto the Linkspan after 6 o'clock. This evening's departure, 7:45, Manxman to Heysham, arriving about 11:30. The overnight departure was scheduled for 2:45. Is now going later at 3:30. This is because of siltation at Heysham Port caused by the recent storms. So the 2:45 departure now at 03:30. Passengers are asked to check in no later than 2:45. Should be arriving into Douglas gone 7 tomorrow morning, and tomorrow morning's 8:45 Manxman to Heysham has been cancelled because of the deterioration in the weather forecast.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
It's hoped an expansion of on-island nurse training could help Manxcare tackle staffing pressures, which are compounding increased demand on services. So says Health Minister Laurie Hooper, MHK. He's been presenting the body's annual report to Tynwald this morning.
Manxcare's annual report also highlights continued increasing demand on services, particularly for our outpatient services, emergency department attendances, mental health appointments and cancer services. This will be important in the coming years, and there will be some difficult decisions to make about what is affordable and sustainable for the longer term. Next year's mandate will have a focus on understanding the true cost of the services we are currently providing so that we can start to make some of these decisions. As I think we all know, staffing is a key factor in the successful delivery of care services, and the report notes Manxcare's plans to increase on-island nurse training. Manxcare have committed to doubling both the number of nursing places to 40 from 20 and doubling the bursary amount to £10,000, which are both significant improvements in our local training provision that will no doubt help towards achieving a sustainable nursing staffing level for the future, whilst offering real opportunities for local residents to train into the nursing profession. And whilst Manxcare has had some significant successes in recruiting, especially after the reporting period in question, recruitment to some key roles does continue to be a challenge, and due in large part to the funding situation, the island continues to have an over-reliance on temporary staff, which is not the preferred position.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 17 minutes before 6, software group Sage led stock gains up 13% after reporting a strong rise in operating profit and announcing a £350 million share buyback programme. Home improvement retail conglomerate Kingfisher fell 6% after it cut profit guidance for the second time, owing to continued market weakness in France. The company, which owns B&Q and Screwfix in the UK, along with a host of other DIY brands across Europe, said adjusted pre-tax profit for the year ending January 2024 will now come in around 560 million sterling compared with 758 million the year before. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. Scotland's only oil refinery may stop operations as soon as 2025 under plans announced by the owners, Petro Ineos. The company said Grangemouth has been facing significant challenges because of global market pressures. Petro Ineos intends to turn the site into a fuels import terminal, resulting in a loss of at least 400 jobs. The refining business at Grangemouth is owned by Petro Ineos, which is a joint venture between the Chinese state-owned PetroChina and London-based Ineos. About 2,000 people are directly employed at Grangemouth, including 500 at the refinery, 450 at the Forties pipeline from the North Sea, and a further 1,000 in the Ineos petrochemicals business. Work to transform the site's expected to take 18 months. The firm said the new terminal will be able to import petrol, diesel, aviation fuel and kerosene into Scotland.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
The UK's FTSE 100 raised early gains to edge down today. US stocks were in positive territory as Treasury yields fell to their lowest level in 2 months. Oil slipped slightly and gold hovered near the key $2,000 level. The numbers from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London: FTSE 100 down 0.2%, 7,466. The DAX in Frankfurt up up 0.4% at 15,969. Short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial up 0.4%, 35,237. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index up almost 0.5% at 16,006, and the S&P 500 in Chicago up almost 0.4%, 4,555. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling is trading at $1 24.6 cents, €1 14.6 cents, and 23 South African rand 48 cents. In commodities, gold fractionally down 0.3%, $1,992 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude down 4% at $79.45.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
The family of a Manx resident who died in September after contracting meningitis has moved a step closer to creating a charity in his name. Lucas Martin, Lukey, to his friends and family, was just 21 years of age. Described as a force of nature, his father, Brett Martin, says he's determined to keep his name alive.
It's a charity which we've called Lukey's Aid, and it's in memory of my son, Lucas Martin, who was known by most of the Isle of Man as Lukey. And Lukey died very tragically from meningitis a couple of months ago. He was a real force of nature. We described him as an action man within the family, and we sort of reflected on what had happened. Obviously, some very, very dark times for us as a family, but we thought about what he would do in these circumstances, and we know what he'd be doing. He'd be his sleeves rolled up, right, we're not letting this end, we're going to protect the legacy, we're going to make things happen. And really that was the genesis of the charity, really, which we're going to be focusing mainly on helping young people to unlock their potential. Because really what we're looking at are kids that are facing adversity, young people who may be risking underperforming in life, not through any fault of their own, but just their circumstances. Because, you know, one thing Lucas was able to do in his 21 years was really optimise his life. He really lived at 100 miles an hour and enjoyed every minute of it. But we know there's lots of kids out there that aren't in that position, so we want to give them that opportunity if we can. There's a memorial football match that's being held at the Bowl on the 12th of December in memory of Lucas. So we're hoping to be launching around about that time.
What do you think Lukey would think of all of this?
I mean, I think he'd be chuffed, to be honest. I think if he's sort of looking down on us, you know, the last thing he would want us to do is kind of roll up on the ball and close the door on life. He'd want us to get on with it and make something positive out of what's been a terrible tragedy. That was his nature, you know, he inspired people, and I think he would be happy that we were seeking to keep his legacy going by inspiring other young people going forward.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates. Manx Radio Sport.
Fast am I, Rob Pritchard.
Fast am I. Good evening. Starting with football, a Brodie Patience hat-trick helped Laxey on their way to a comprehensive 4-0 win away at St John's United in the Canada Life Men's Premier League last night. Patience struck twice in the first half, with St John's hitting the crossbar in the first 45 through Dean Leese's long-range strike. Ben Wasser added a third for the Miners after the break before Patience got his third and Laxey's fourth. The visitors also held onto a clean sheet despite Aaron Bradley being sent off in the second half. Meanwhile, there's more football action tonight at the Bowl in the form of the latest fixtures in the Isle of Man Under-18s League. Undefeated Ramsey, who've won all 3 outings so far, face Laxey A, who are still searching for their first points of the season. Elsewhere, Union Mills take on Russian United. A Manx professional tennis player is giving an insight into what it's like trying to compete and win at the very top level of the sport.
I'm Billy Harris from the Isle of Man and currently ranked 311.
Billy Harris features in the latest episode of the Lawn Tennis Association series Beyond the Baseline this week. In this instalment, Harris recalls the time he got the chance to train with Spanish player Carlos Alcaraz, who's currently ranked second in the world.
He mentioned a match when I played him. I had match point. I think I hit a forehand somewhere near the back fence. Ended up losing it in 3 sets. He asked me if I remembered it, and I was like, yeah, great to hit with those guys. Not going to get any better hits than that.
That episode, along with the rest of the series, is available on the LTA YouTube channel. And in motorsport, Manx motorcycle competitor Joe Yeardsley secured a top 3 finish during his debut at a gruelling road race in Mexico at the weekend. On board his Kawasaki 6 3.36. Yeardsley went on to take second spot both in his machine class and overall during the 74-kilometre Kine Road race on Sunday. Another Isle of Man contender was also involved in the form of Jim Hunter, who managed the 32nd fastest time overall on his BMW in 43 minutes 14.059 seconds, which also was the 16th fastest pace in the 1000cc class.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
The 5:25 Loganair from Manchester inbound at Ronaldsway is delayed, won't be in for another 5 minutes or so. The 7:30 EasyJet from Gatwick's on time, 10:08 Loganair from London City, and the 5:08 returning patient transfer Loganair from Liverpool showing on time. Outbound, the 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool delayed till 6:25, and then it's the 8 o'clock EasyJet return to London Gatwick, currently showing on time. On the roads, temporary lights on the main road in Laxey near Churchill for gas main work. The Clanner Road in Sulby is closed for resurfacing. Temporary lights on Dukes Road, Douglas for sewer lining work, and Hillside Avenue is closed through to Circular Road in Douglas for adjacent office window replacement. A section of Switzerland Road in Douglas is closed for construction work for the next year. Temporary lights in Port Erin on Shore Road for draw pit work, and in Colby, temporary lights at the junction with Ballakilferrick Road for water main work. Still got those temporary lights in Crosby on the main road near Malavitchell Road for excavation work, and in Glen May, the Aracy Road's closed from Glen May to the shoulder for resurfacing.
Quayside Tyres and Service Centre with 1 year's free engine warranty from Castrol. Get more with
Quayside. A radon expert says levels of the radioactive gas found in 5 schools on the Isle of Man aren't a concern. 14 rooms were found to be affected, including 1 classroom, a staff room and a caretaker's office. From Radman Associates, Rob Collins.
Radon's an odourless radioactive gas of natural origin which comes out of the rock and the soil due to the presence of uranium in low concentration, and it collects in the room space of buildings so that we breathe it in, and it's not thought to be good to be breathing in radioactive gas. Potentially, there's a risk of lung cancer. That's the only damage which is known to occur. We measure radon in units of becquerels per cubic metre. That's just the unit that we give to radioactivity. And you have to be exposed to tens of thousands of becquerels per cubic metre over a long period, many years, before there would be a significant risk of exposure resulting in lung cancer.
Do you know what the readings have been in those schools?
Yes, the action level which is applied through the Radiation Safety at Work regulations is a figure of 300 becquerels per cubic metre. And 5 of the results from, I think, 500 placements of dosimeters produced results in excess of 300, and 2 of them were at 900. So they're above the action level, but it's important to note that this action level of 300 is the point at which the employer has to take action in order to reduce exposure. It's in no way linked to a level of risk, not directly anyway, as far as lung cancer is concerned, but it's just the point at which the employer has to take action.
What measures then need to be taken?
The common engineering control is to put a fan in place outside the building, and it just sucks out the radon, and then we do the test again in the same rooms, and we show that the levels have reduced below the action level.
The chair of Port St Mary Commissioners says the Southern Neighbourhood Policing Unit is invaluable. Bernadette Williams and Clark Haley Kinvig attended the latest police roadshow held at Castle Rushen High School.
It is invaluable. They are there, they come and sit and talk to us, they listen to us. Priceless. Weekly, they'll pop in and see do we have anything to discuss with them, and they're always there at the end of the phone.
So, I work with them really closely. They'll come down, we'll discuss any concerns we've got about residents, partner up together, get resources out to them and help there, and you don't get there and get that in bigger places, especially away. It's really important, and we've had some real success stories with being able to put support in place for people, and that's what's really important for us, and I just wouldn't want to see it go at all, the community policing. It's really important.
Even our community events, the Anchor Memorial, the Remembrance Day, they always have a presence there. They never miss.
No.
Never miss.
An awful lot, yeah. They are in the schools an awful lot. And just anything, if we're doing something with the schools, because we try and integrate with the school a lot as well, they want to be involved, and they're always involved. And just advice, I mean, I've got a teenage son and I've gone to them with things before and they've come down and helped me. From that respect, they're absolutely brilliant.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Chanel Suku, producer Amy Griffiths. After the news at 6, it's Wednesday, so Spotlight, the arts programme with Howie King, Greatest Hits with Chris Kinley. 6:30, Ernie Thorne's Opera Hour at 9, Rhiann Evans and The Late Show at 10. I'm Andy Wint, back tomorrow at 5:30.
WINT